everybody, Jill here. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something really fun, I think. I have had so many of you request, and I get this often, is please do more looks with affordable makeup. So that's what today's look is all about, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek so you can decide if this is a look you'd like to stick around for. So I've got skincare on, got some SPF on. That's all that I've got going on right now. And we are going to start with foundation. I went ahead and chose the Revlon Candid. Now, because, you know, this is pretty dang affordable, I'm able to sort of do a guesstimate as to the shade that might work well. So I ended up getting two different ones. So this one is $150. And this one is $200. I chose, when I did my 24-hour test, to do just this one, which was the $150. It really is actually a pretty good match. There was no oxidation, so I'll just tell you that right out of the gate. Today, I think I'm going to experiment a little bit, though, and add a little bit, sort of equal parts, if you will, of both of these colors. I'm just curious to find out, you know, what it's going to do. So I'm going to blend those together with my finger. And we're going to get something about like this. I do have some warmth in my skin, but I would say I'm more of a neutral. I have coolness and some warmth. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on my sponge. And I am going to proceed to see how this works. So this is advertised to be kind of this, you know, a skin-like finish. And you really do get sort of that mid finish. It's not super matte and it's definitely not super glowy. So I would classify this as a light coverage. The first time I tried this, I definitely tried to build it, especially right through here, and didn't really do much when it came to that. First impression, which is really useless, to be honest, when it comes to makeup and skincare. But my first impression, even, you know, using it one day isn't a fair, honest, fair opinion on anything. But I'm going to call it my first impression. It is a pretty natural finish. I definitely don't feel it on my skin, and it did even out the redness in my skin tone. I would say it put a light veil, sort of, it helped with the mottled complexion that I have due to my pigmentation issues. So, you know, for light, this is what I would be looking for if that was really the kind of coverage that I was needing. And I went ahead and stayed with the Candid line and went ahead and chose their concealer. So sort of the selling point to this Candid line within the Revlon line is it has antioxidants, which help with pollution and just sort of fight off that constant barrage and attack that happens to our skin just throughout the day. And I love that. Antioxidants are extremely underrated. I highly recommend having a serum or two that is just antioxidants and let it do its thing. Put it under your SPF, gives a little extra protection there. And so that's sort of what made me gravitate toward the Candid line. I like that. Goodness, do I have the dark circles today? All right, this is actually my first time using this because when I did this full face look, I didn't have this yet. It wasn't delivered quite yet. So this is gonna be my first time. I did test the color. Boy, it's really yellow. This could be a great corrector, however. Yellow, peach, and it is kind of a peachy yellow. This could be lovely when it comes to correcting that darkness that we get due to the extra thin skin, which is something that happens as we age. It just gets thinner and thinner, and therefore we see those veins more. We have blood pooling that we see more and whatnot. So this, you know what? I think I'm actually going to like doing this with my finger. It is a little thick. The coverage is, wow, the coverage is really good. I want to experiment with this. I normally don't put my concealer right under here with the actual applicator, but I do have freckles. I have a freckle here, here, here. You know, I've got the pigmentation going, and I just want to just kind of experiment. I don't really have freckles on this side, but I do want to experiment with the coverage. I am going to use my finger. I didn't see that doing a great job blending this. I actually love the color selection of this. Like, surprisingly, I thought it was going to be a disaster when I first saw this. It is a little hard to blend out. I even have, you know, my eye cream on, so it's not like it's going on super dehydrated skin. I am just going to be honest with you here. When you have crepiness, there is nothing that is not going to go and settle in that crepiness. So what we're looking for here is, you know, pressing it in, kind of moving the crepiness around so we can kind of press it in, and then we just hope that it stays there. Whatever's sort of settled in a little bit of that crepiness just kind of stays there, and it doesn't start pooling in there as we make our expressions throughout the day. We have to have reasonable expectations. I'm 58, and my expectations change as I grow older. You know, when I'm younger, yeah, I got some pretty big expectations there, because there's not a lot when you're younger that you have to deal with when it comes to product and it not performing well. But as you get older, your expectations need to change, you know. And yes, there are superior products for aging skin, and that is what I aim to try to find for us. With a really nicely priced drugstore makeup, one that, because you know, drugstore makeup actually can also get a little expensive. So I tried to pick something that truly is affordable. This is Almay, and here is this palette. All right, I am not going to utilize it like they did. They're giving you an example. This can go on your lid. This can go, you know, on the inner part. This can go on the outer part, and then under the brow bone. At my age, I could not get away with doing that. I couldn't. But I'm going to show you how I did utilize these colors. When you deal with that affordable price point when it comes to drugstore eyeshadows, I really highly recommend that you help boost that positive sort of outcome you're hoping for by utilizing an eyelid primer. And I didn't really ever use an eyelid primer until I found this one. And I love it so much, I haven't experimented since. And why, you know? Yes, a good primer, their main point, a good primer is going to keep your eyeshadow where you put it. It's going to prevent creasing, and it's going to really help with payoff and fallout. That is where we really need help for the most part with our affordable drugstore eyeshadows. Lots of times they can be a bit powdery, and this will help just sort of keep it there. And the other thing is sometimes, not all the time, you know, I didn't really find it with this one, for instance, their payoff isn't the best and they don't build well. So a primer like this will really help with that color payoff. So yes, you will be, you know, I think this is 20 something. So yes, you're investing in this, but I have had this forever. I have not purchased a second one yet. I can see through the bottle that I'm kind of getting down there, but I have had this for a very long time. And if, you know, if I'm really saving money with my eyeshadows, then this is going to really help, you know, help me with getting what I need to get out of these really nicely priced eyeshadow palettes. So I am going to use this, and I'm going to put this I'm going to put this right in the corner, bring it up a little, and I'm going to put it right here on my actual mobile lid. I am not going to put it back here because I really want this color to grab there. And if I make it grab on top of this, it might not give me the payoff that I want. So I want to leave this nice and primed for that color. I got a lot of ground to cover here, so I grabbed the Sigma E52, and if that's wrong, you will see the correct number pop up here. But this is just a nice packing brush, covers a lot of ground, and it's a great one. And I'm gonna press it in. I'm not gonna start doing this. I'm gonna press it exactly where I want it. I'm gonna load again. This is a really nice color because it is a little peachy. So that's going to be brightening, going to make us look more awake, and it's going to help a little too with that color correcting. You know, I am definitely really dark right in there. So that's why I like to put sort of bright colors in there. Okay. You're going to see me grab this brush a lot. This is the BK Beauty 201, and I've just designated it as my blending brush. I wipe off extra, I blend the edges out to soften them, and I don't use it for anything else. I also have a towel down here where I will wipe it off in between applications, so it's nice and clean and ready to go. You know, I'm not carrying over shadows and end up with, you know, it's a smutty mess, but I love this brush. I'm going to use this as sort of that transitional color. I'm just going to add some warmth to this look and some depth. So I am now going to grab a nice fluffy dome brush. I'm going to grab this here. This is BK Beauty. This is Angie Hot and Flashy's collab A503. It's a dome brush and it's nice and fluffy, but yet has a tiny, tiny little sort of point, so I can control, you know, where I'm going to be putting this. So I'm going to carefully load this up. This is quite powdery, so we are going to knock that off really well. And as I look straight ahead into my mirror, I'm going to put this right in the middle, right here, right in the middle, right where my, you know, color my eye is, my eyeball. Well, no, not the whole eyeball. Okay, so I'm really exaggerating that, but that's where I'm tapping first, because I don't want the majority of this to start falling down and bringing down the whole look. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to definitely bring it out this way and soften it. Still sort of tapping and bringing it down. If I have too much on here, I'm going to wipe it off on my towel, and then I'm going to soften that upper. I'm going to bring it up into the brow area. I never do my brows until after I'm completely done with my eye look. I'm going to bring it here. It's going to be acting a little bit as my contour here and my nose contour. So I'm going to go ahead and just contour my nose while I'm at it. Don't have a lot of pigment on here, which is perfect for doing this. And then when I do this eye, I'll kind of get that up to par over there. So I'm going to soften this best I can, and there we go. I'm going to take my blending brush, do a little more softening. There are a handful of brushes that are in my toolbox that I really would struggle with and miss. I think I would just miss them a lot when it comes to makeup brushes. And this is definitely one of those brushes that I use all the time. And it is the BK Beauty 204. It's a smudger, and it's perfect for precise sort of application when it comes to this next step that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and take the darker of these two, this one here, and in a way, I'm going to utilize it how they have it here. I'm going to knock this off. This is why I wanted to really keep this part open. I didn't want to apply any shadows there yet because I want the best payoff that I can get from this directly over that primer. So I am going to simply place, and oh my, are we getting it, huh? I'm going to place this right close to my lash line. I'm even kind of taking it a little bit under to lift the tissue and using it a bit like a thick liner. And then I am going to, again, just kind of lift it here up at the edge. be careful with that step, because what I try to avoid personally, this is just my taste, I honestly do not think there are wrongs. Like, don't do this. Here are some tips, or here are 8 things you should never do when you're over 50. I am not one of those people. I break a lot of those rules. I do. And it's because it's something that I like. There may be a time when I won't do some of those things anymore, and you'll never know until you experiment. So I try not to ever word it like that. And honestly, I'm just sharing things that I did that I liked. And, it's up to you whether it's something that you want to try yourself. So I try to avoid bringing any color sort of following this, because if I were to follow this line, it would actually kind of go down this way. And if I did that, my whole eye, I think, would look completely downturned. And so I just kind of start tilting my brush practically up and down. Now, if you do already have downturned eyes, I would definitely do this completely up and down. And instead of even tilting it this way, I would line that baby up and just go completely up with it. But I do take this and completely exaggerate and bring it up this way. So let's go ahead and do that to the other eye. This is an example of when you have the right brush, it makes your job so much easier. You will have much less aggravation. And that's the way a makeup brush should be. It's like any other hobby, any other craft. If you have the right tools, it can actually make your attempts more successful, fun, and less aggravating. And this is definitely one of those brushes. They're not all like that, but this one definitely is. So again, tap, tap. We're going to use this. We're going to soften that. This also gets rid of any extra that's sitting there that might fall during the day. That's another thing that happens often with my experience with drugstore eyeshadows is they look great, but then the minute you kind of, blend, that pigment disappears. A lot of that pigment disappears. And I do see that with this, but thank goodness for that primer because it's happening a lot less. While we have this brush out, we're gonna wipe it off really well. And I'm gonna go in now with this one. And we are gonna line underneath the lower lash line. We are gonna knock this off really well. I want this, and I'm gonna tap it off a couple times on my towel, or once. I want this to look pretty soft, but more intense as it gets closer to the lash line. So let's start here. I'm not gonna start in the very corner because like right here, because again, I'm trying to avoid, having this kind of start to drop a little lower than I want. So I'm gonna stop right here and I'm just gonna take this on the outer part, not all. This isn't going to be the color we're going to take all under the entire lash line, but it is going to be sort of half of it. So I'm going to do that, and just to connect, I'm just going to pretty much take it like this, and I'm just going to lay it right there, and it's going to connect the bottom to the top. Now I'm going to wipe this off really well, and I'm going to soften this part out, and I'm going to wipe it off again. I'm going to soften the bottom area right through here. I'm going to really soften that line. I'm going to wipe it off again, and I'm going to go into that rust color right here. So I'm going to load that up, tap it off here on my towel, and I'm going to take this color and I'm going to bring it kind of right through here. I'm not going to take it over the green all the way, but I will kind of right where they meet. Okay, so I'm going to grab 205. This is a BK Beauty. This is one of those that I have to have, and that's because of the kind of looks that I create. This one is perfect for how I create my looks, and I utilize it in just a certain way. But this is angled, it's very soft, and it's down far enough, especially down here, where I can still get pretty precise with it. And then as it gets longer, that acts as my blending edge, only if I really concentrate on only loading the pigment here on the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. This has all become second nature. I know this particular look looks like it is just a whole bunch of steps and it's ridiculous, but don't forget, I actually love my makeup. I love creating looks. You don't have to use all of these steps. You don't even have to create this exact look. It's just a vehicle for you to inspire you. So I get a lot of people saying, I would never spend that much time doing my makeup. That's crazy. First of all, when I'm doing a makeup tutorial, I am talking through every step. Honestly, this eye look would not take me much time at all. I'm just talking you through everything, the whys, the hows, and all of that. So just because one of these videos may end up being 40-something minutes, honestly, figure on half the amount of time that it took the video to be made. So I just want to keep that in mind. So I'm going to load the rust, and I'm going to load it kind of like a paintbrush, really, and I'm just going to load the bottom part of that angle. I'm going to really tap this off really well, and I'm even going to be safe and tap it once on my towel down here. Now, I am going to concentrate this right here, the last part of this look. And I'm doing this for a couple reasons. I'm doing this because I want to accentuate this theme of everything kind of going up. And I also want to add more dimension to this part of my eye. Why? Because, you know, a few years ago, my eye was probably like this, and now it's drooped to here. So I want to contour this in a way where it's going to kind of give the illusion that things are lifted. So right now, this is a really pretty look, but for me, I need to do a little something extra. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up where that green went, and it's just up and down, and I've got that pigment loaded here on the bottom, and I'm just going to bring that up, and then I'm going to tap it, and I am going to bring it in, and I'm going to bring it in above my natural crease line, which is way down here. Do this in little steps and kind of create that amount of intensity that you're comfortable with in little steps. Don't just go in heavy and do that. So this is number 3. This is the 3rd time I've done this. And again, I'm just bringing it in above. Here's my actual natural crease. Now I'm making it look like it's way up here. So there we go. Now I'm going to take this beloved blending brush and just soften the outskirts, soften the top line. And we are done with that part. All right, next step is we are going to curl our eyelashes. I highly recommend that you do that because I never used to curl my eyelashes. They kind of just sort of naturally, they were fine. But as you get older and your eye tissue starts microscopically, and then eventually you don't need a microscope to see it, it starts pushing and it starts falling over your lash line, and it pushes your lashes down. So if you're noticing that, that's exactly why that's happening. So we need to open up the eyes again. And so carefully, and I say carefully because if you can't see that well, I don't have contacts in or glasses, you might actually pinch that tissue that is falling over. So be careful with that. So I get my lashes in there and I kind of take the back of it and lift it doing that. And then I do a crimp there, and then I walk it out to almost the end and I crimp it again. And sometimes you have to do it more than once. And if you do that second crimp toward the end, it prevents your eyelashes from just going bing. It kind of gives you more of a natural curve. The next thing I want to do before we actually go to the mascara, and that is to utilize this. I'm so excited to try this. And I'm going to just sort of do a waterline with this. And I'm not going to take it all the way to the corner. I tend to feel like, for me, what happens is it sort of ends up traveling there anyway and settles right in the corner. It's great. So I'm going to waterline. This, by the way, is a gorgeous color palette if you have hazel eyes. It is just absolutely gorgeous to use these aquas, even full-on mossy greens and a whole sort of warmer look is beautiful for hazel eyes. So let's go ahead and waterline. When I waterline, I do scrub it in a little bit, you know, sort of right there where the lash line is. I really wasn't expecting this much payoff with this. This is beautiful. Now, I did buy 2 different drugstore mascaras. I tried this one on this eye and this one on this eye, and I wore it all day until about 8 o'clock at night. So I'm saying this one. These are both by Maybelline. I wanted to try these. This one is called Sensational. This one is Maybelline also, and it's called Falsies Surreal. I wasn't thrilled with either one of them. This one definitely flaked more through the day and just played. I had to wipe it. I mean, it was embarrassing at one point. I don't tend to have that problem because I love the mascara that I use all the time, which, if you're interested, is the Lancome Lash Idol. That's my current favorite. But you know what? I'm looking for, I'm always looking for options when it comes to the, especially mascaras. So I wasn't thrilled. They both, one didn't outshine the other. They just are okay. I didn't hate them. I didn't hate anything that I used today. But I also didn't use anything that I went, oh my God, I love this either. They're just kind of all mediocre. They're okay. So out of the 2, I liked this one the best. So I'm going to go ahead and do this look with just this one today. All right, we're on to the brows. I have been waiting and waiting. I even went out there to quiet my dogs down. And when I got back here, they started barking again. So I apologize. Brows, to me, if you're going to splurge on a makeup product for your full face, it's the brows. I use brow powder first. And so looking at various, brands and their brow powders, I wasn't saving all that much money. This isn't that expensive. This is my favorite currently. It has been for a few years now. And it's the $1 Billion Brow. This is the brow powder. I use taupe. And I like this color because I can go light with it depending on what kind of hair I'm going to be wearing that day, or I can go a little darker depending on the color and the hair or the roots or whatever in the wig or piece that I'm wearing. So this is really versatile for me. So first step is brow powder, and that's what we're going to do. I already got rid of any powders, foundation, whatever, out of my brows. Now I'm going to go in with this little guy. This broke, but it's an angled, stiff sort of brush, and I love it. And it's just what I use on my brows. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna load it, and I'm gonna do my brows with my brow powder first, and then we'll go to the next step. I try to make the front part of my brows very soft. So I try not to start at the very front. And I try not to hit too much powder there in the very front in general. Sometimes I pull it off better than others, but I like to establish this bottom line that goes right to my arch as the first step. We'll see what I ended up doing this time, because I know I'm going to have to cut something out. Now, what I normally do is I go in with tinted brow gel, and I personally like Benefit's Gimme Brow in number 4.5. It gives me some dimension to whatever the eyelashes are that I actually have still. but it gives dimension to the look. It doesn't just look sort of flat and completely fake. Yes, my brows do look made up, but that's just the way that things are these days. But I do try to make them look as soft as I can. Anyway, so today though, we're gonna forego the tinted brow gel. We're gonna go straight to the actual clear brow gel. So if I were to recommend a drugstore brand, you would think, you know, it's just clear brow gel. What's the big deal? They're different. They're definitely different. But this one does really pretty dang good. Am I gonna ditch my Patrick Ta lamination brow gel for this? No. So if you don't want to pay $26, I think the Patrick Ta is like $26. I mean, it lasts a long time, but nonetheless, if you just don't want to do that and you want to, say, put your budget more towards your brow powder, then try this. And then what I like to do, and it is getting toward the end, what I like to do is I like to kick out this part, just the very front. I like to separate those and kind of kick them out. I think it just gives a natural look. And then I'm gonna lightly, because I don't want to disturb that brow powder, I'm gonna lightly, you know, brush everything up. This will sort of lock things in place for sure, because that's what clear gel is supposed to do, and it will, but not to the sort of point that the Patrick Ta, I mean, the word lamination is right in there. And so there is that. So as for contouring, I'm going to quickly go through this. This is a Revlon contour palette. Good Lord, did I have a hard time. I love the contour that I use, but it is spendy. It's a Makeup Forever contour. It's right here. And with me, it's the color. It's the color that is so hard to find in contour. I can't do orange. I can't do super ashy, then I look dirty. And so I had a heck of a time finding not only sort of that hue, but also the intensity of the color. Okay, so here's the color of my favorite, right? This is Makeup Forever. And then here is the palette that I got. It's called Insta Sculpt here by Revlon. There we go. And here are the colors offered in this. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's look at this. Pretty good for ordering online, I must say. I'm just going to go in with the darker of the two, and I'm just going to quickly do what I normally would do. Here's another brush that I absolutely love. It's like this big kabuki brush, and I love it for blending and buffing out my entire face. Look at this brush. It is so gorgeous. It is the 105. Is that right? I did, yes. That's dangerous. Me just relying on my memory. Oh gosh. So we're gonna kind of buff out all of that. And now we're ready for the blush. I went ahead and grabbed this. This is Maybelline as well, and it's called Fit. It is a gorgeous light pink, and it is very pretty. I am gonna say this. It is very sheer. It's so sheer. I'm borderline on saying that they didn't get that pigment in there. But it is really pretty. Let me show you what it looks like. Normally I would not go in with a brush like this on a blush, honestly, because that's really grabbing it. Even if you tap it off, that's like, woo! But you know, I'm pretty safe in doing that with this one because I know that the pigment isn't intense, but I do want to show you how pretty it is. So I'm just gonna kind of put it right here. Because normally I use this type. Normally I use, you know, this type of brush when I do my blushes. Honestly, I don't like a lot of blush. I like to have a tint of color because I need color to my face for sure. But I really like the look to rely mostly on the contouring that I do with some color, you know, right through here. Why do I do that? Because I want a look of natural, like a flush, that color that, you know, comes from down under the skin and comes to the surface. And so that's why I fell in love with contouring and then not relying on a ton of color with my blush. So this is actually quite pretty, and it is a beautiful color. It's a very natural color, you know, that you can really get that pretty down under the skin kind of look, that flush that is natural looking. But again, even with all of that I put on, which is way more than I normally would, it's still a very soft, sheer blush. So before we do the lips, I am gonna let you go and I'm gonna get my wig on. I'm gonna tell you I'm getting a wig on. It's so funny. The makeup tutorial that I did that really took off. It was so exciting to see. But so many people were so confused as to what the heck happened. Did I cut my hair? Did I go to the salon? What happened? And some people were even angry. So I'm gonna from now on let you know that I am going to go put my wig on, and I will be right back. All right, we are back, and this wig is by Estetica. It's called Sage. The color is a code, and it's really long, and I don't have it memorized. So I'm gonna flash that up here somewhere so you know exactly what I am wearing. All right, to the lips. This actually was a lovely find. This is a lip pencil by e.l.f. Now, I do like the formula. I think it did very well, but something else that surprised me is I loved this sort of tip. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like this little triangle, and it helps to give you this really nice precision. I love it. You know, I like a more of a coffee brown, but not super dark, somewhere, you know, before it gets to that really rich roast color. Because believe it or not, they go really well with nude lipsticks. And let's face it, I tend to always reach for a nude lipstick. See how dark that is? It's a little too dark. But we're gonna make it work. I always drop down to the corner. I don't really overline. I'm gonna really soften that. The bottom I don't overline, but I take it on the underneath edge and make a straight line. And then I bring it up. Then I bring it over ever so slightly, but then I draw directly on my natural lip line. I do not overline, and I bring it to the corner. All right, it's probably good that it's this dark. At least it gives you an idea of how I line my lips. Now I'm gonna soften that. So the formula I'm really liking of this e.l.f. I just have to find that color that I like. All right, the lipstick that I chose is a Flower Beauty. This is Drew Barrymore's line, and here is the color. And it is a nude, and it's definitely a peachy nude. Then I'm gonna take my finger and blend it to the rest of it. Okay. Oh. On the floor that goes. All right, now I am gonna soften my lipstick. I always do. Mostly for that upper, you know, the edge. So I do like lip toppers. I do like lip toppers. And I grabbed this one. This is a Physicians Formula. I hope they still have it. I ordered all this stuff off of Amazon. And again, all the links are gonna be provided for you. But this is a Diamond Plumper by Physicians Formula. And I have to say, I'm gonna tell you, it's beautiful, but it's typical lip gloss. It's very sticky. So if you don't like sticky lip glosses, you're probably not gonna like this. But the finish is gorgeous, so I would put up with it. Center only, because boy, this baby is gonna spread. It is a thicker lip gloss, so you won't need much, but it's hard to control. What did I wear? Okay, got a lot of stuff down here on my desk. So I am going to sort of blot this with my finger. I'm even gonna do that. It is sticky. I mean, I think you can see it even though I took a lot of it off, but it's got some sparkle. Hold on, this is driving me a little crazy here. It's got some sparkle to it, you know, some diamondy sparkle. It's got a bit of iridescence to it. So I just like the way, you know, it sort of makes and transforms that a little bit matte lipstick that we had on, because it's a little bit matte. So the topper just sort of gives it a little boost, and I do like a little shine to my lips because they're a little on the small side. So I like that shine. So you know what I wanted to do here at the end is, if you notice the Instasculpt palette, which is quite nice. Hold on. It has this frosty coral. I did not try this before, but I'm very curious about it because I am wearing, you know, a lot of coral going on here. I thought this would be the perfect time. So let's go ahead. Now, I've not used this. I don't know what the payoff is, but I want to complete this palette by utilizing these last two. So let's go in with my floofy blush brush and just kind of load this baby up. And then I am going to touch it right where I would. And whoa, it changes the finish. And I like that. I don't like a super matte finish. So it's quite pretty. Wow. Again, it's very sheer, which I feel like we can tell that it is going to be sheer. But it is very pretty. Almost can be used as a finisher almost. It changed the hue a little bit more to peachiness. This is pretty. So now I'm going to go into the champagne highlighter. I don't really know if we need it because, to be honest, that coral there had quite a bit of shine to it. It's very pretty. Yeah, this is nice. I think, you know, if you're really wanting to experiment with some contouring and you have a similar sort of problem with the color situation, you might want to try this. I think it's at a nice price point, and it's a great one that you can feel good about investing in and practicing with. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was quite the video. They usually are when I talk about every single product that I'm using. But I hope you enjoyed it. Most of all, I always hope you feel inspired to sit down, get yourself something nice to sip on, and have some fun just playing with your makeup. We'll see you soon in the next one. Bye-bye.